On the topic of footwork, let us look at the sea walk. So the fundamental movements, the fundamental body movements are going to be with regards to the feet for this one, specifically as I just stated that it was to do with footwork. But be aware that with regards to the knees, you could utilize this to aid in your movement. I've said here it may be advantageous to consider turning your knees out and in whilst you go through the steps, and you'll notice where that might be advantageous going forward. The main concept though is the feet, of course, and I would suggest that you make sure you have the following mindset when you're practicing this. If you're starting from the beginning, it might take quite a lot of repetition. You're going to need self-efficacy, that's your belief in your ability to achieve. You're going to need to have a belief, some faith that you're going to get there, and you need growth mindset. That's a kind of a way of stating the idea, or it's a phrase to describe the idea that you are aware that your ability grows with practice. So if you are finding that you're not making much progress, you're just going to need to keep going until you get to reach a certain number. It's different for everyone, but repetition, 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 and at some point this will become absolutely smooth for y'all. So let's take a look at the feet in particular. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into left, then right, then semi together and together. In terms of the left, what I would like for you to do is to consider a straight line forward from your feet to the wall in front of you. So it's a straight line forward from your feet to the wall in front of you. That's what you're going to need to consider. Imagine this line going between your feet. Keep your feet close together at the beginning. So let's take a look at that. So what you can see here in this image is what I'm describing as that straight line going forward from your feet straight in front of you. Feet are together. This is a representation of where the weight is about to be. You're going to put that weight into that heel going forward. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put your weight on the left heel as I've described in this picture. You're going to put that weight on that left heel. You're going to pick up the toes off the floor ever so slightly, and you're going to swing those toes out by keeping your weight on your heels. You've got to keep your weight on your heels, and you're going to swing those toes out as far as it is comfortable to balance. And so that looks something like this. You can see that there's been a movement from this position to this position by concentrating your weight on those heels, on that left heel in particular, and swinging it out to a position that you feel comfortable. This can be done at a much larger angle if you wish. I mean, some people are far more flexible. You can go to as far as here. I judge the individual involved here can swing out quite far. It's just the phrase used is to keep it comfortable, and in that sense, you just at the beginning, just for the repetition, you just want to go to a position that you're comfortable with as is described here, whatever that angle may be. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your weight on the left toes this time, the left toes. That's where you're going to push all your weight down onto the left toes, and this will free you up a little bit for some movement with regards to your heel. I say pick up your heel ever so slightly off the floor, and then you're going to swing that heel out by keeping your weight on your toes as far as it is comfortable for balance again. So let's take a look at that one there. So here you can see that movement. We've gone from here. I've then suggested you put your weight into those toes, as you can see with that marker there, and you swing your heel out. You swing your heel out from here to here. That swing can be done nice and smoothly, and again, with practice, this can be done peacefully indeed. So you swing that heel out, and then you're left in this position. I'm not concentrating on the right foot for now. At the beginning, let's concentrate on the left. So I started here. I swang out my toes by putting my weight into the heel. This is not me, perhaps I shouldn't use the word my, but in these circumstances here, I then swang my heel out afterwards. So then we're quite close to the end of this section. You're going to put your weight on the left heel again. You're going to pick up the left toes off the floor again, and you're going to swing your toes out by keeping your weight on your heels as far as it is comfortable to balance. So let's take a look at that one. So we were here. You're going to switch this time by swinging your weight, put your weight into that heel. So imagine in this situation over here, I'm going to put my weight into this area here, my heel, swing my toes out, and you can see this happen. There's my weight, there's that swing, and then you can see from the pattern I went 1, this is the original position, 1, 2, and 3, and that is the first practice I would argue. And let's take a look at that in a video-like motion. So imagine this time we're going to start in this position again. However, the difference with this is we're now going to look at the right side. So what I said for the right is I said you put your weight on the right heel, you're going to pick up your right toes off the floor. You're going to pick them off the floor, and then from there you're going to swing your toes out by keeping your weight on that heel. So that's what will allow for you to pivot quite smoothly as far as it is comfortable for your balance. If you're finding it difficult to swing out, maybe the floor that you have is a lot of friction, then lift your toes up higher and dig your heels in, put your weight more so into your heels. So therefore you should be able to see this position here. So from here, this time I've now been able to describe this structure where the weight is in the heels and the toes have swung out like so. Okay, so what we're going to do now is going to put your weight on your right toes. You're going to pick up the heel this time, ever so slightly off the floor. Swing your heel out by keeping your weight on your toes as far as is comfortable for balance. So let's take a look at that. So you can see here, relative to before where I swung my toes out, and this is not me, so it's not per se where I swung my toes out, but the toes have been swung out. And then from there, what has happened is the weight is now going to go into the toes and the heel swings out instead. The heel swings out instead there. Okay, so for this last part, we're going to put your weight on your right toes. We're going to pick up the heel ever so slightly off the floor. We've swung the heel out. We've done all this. We've illustrated this by way of this diagram. What's next? What's next? So for this last part, you put your weight on your right heel again. So I'm here, I'm going to put my weight into this right heel again. I'm going to pick up my right toes off the floor and I'm going to swing the toes out by keeping your weight on your heels as far as is comfortable for balance. And so what you get is this situation. I put the weight into the heel this time, as depicted by this point here, and I swing my toes out. So what's happened is, from this original position, instead of going left, swings, and like so, when we've gone from this original position, I'm swinging the right foot out, heel, toe. Right foot swings out, the toes, heel, toe. And thus we are back into our original position, and we've practiced going from the left to the right. Let's see that in video form. Okay, so we've looked at left, we've looked at right. Now we're going to look at semi together, and you'll see why I'm utilizing this phrase in a moment. First of all, we're going to place the feet together with both toes turned out, and that looks something like this. So the weight is in the heels so that the toes were able to swing out on both sides. Then what we're going to do is we're going to swing the left heel out as has been described before. So we're going to swing the left heel out just as it has been described before. So that means we, in this situation, so if you look at this left foot here, therefore, if I'm going to swing it out, what I'm going to do is put the weight into the toes and swing it out. That's what this depiction is illustrating. Notice the weight is in the toes and it has been swung out. I'm going to call this A for later reference. So that is our part A. Next, part B, you swing your right toes in as described in the past. Join the toes together. So here you can see that just in the position before, in order to swing those toes in, that weight needs to be in that heel. I'm going to swing those toes in as follows, and bam, there it is. There they go in. They're now together, touching each other, and so we've gone from heels together to toes together, heels together to toes together. And the mechanism to do that was, number one, we swung out the left heel, and two, we swung in the right toes. Next stage, therefore, is to swing your left toes out. And of course, if I'm going to swing my left toes out, what do I need to do? Well, I need to transfer that weight into the heel again and swing it out as follows. There it goes, swung out, and that's part C for later reference, part C. And finally, part D, finally swing your right heel in, join your heels together. So again, if I'm going to swing my right heel in, I need to put my weight into the toes, and you will see there they swung in, giving me that position. So what you got was heels together, one, swing out, join them, toes together, swing out, join them, heels together. And that is A, B, C, and D there. And so let's see a video to be able to see this happening in a smoother manner. Okay, so we are at the final stage. The main point now is to do this all together. And how I'm going to describe that is as follows. I'm going to say you're going to place the feet together with both toes turned out, just like this. So you're going to place the feet together with both toes turned out. And then I'm going to say you swing the left heel out at the same time as swinging the right toes in. So before we did A, so we went from here, we swung this heel out, there's A, and then we went B. Now instead what we're going to do is A and B together. So rather than from here to A, then B, instead in one motion we're going to do A and B together. And I will show you that by way of video in a moment. A and B together. So 1, 2. But in one smooth motion. And finally, you're going to swing the left toes out at the same time as swinging the right heel in. And so that means from this position, we were before describing it as C and D. But instead, you're going to do C and D together. So you'll end up in a circumstance wherein your C and D will happen in a smooth motion. So you'll have from here, A and B will happen together, C and D will happen together, and let's see that by way of a video. So what you can see here is A and B occurring together, and then from there a reversal, and with practice it becomes smoother and faster, and you can utilize any hand action you wish once you are ready. Thank you.